What's up, YouTube? Thanks for joining me today on this quick little project we got going on. This is what we're going to be working on, or this is the finished product, just so you can kind of see what we're going to be doing in this video. It's a little salt jar, and for this salt jar we made a little copper spoon that's going to be going on the side, and a little rolled copper wire handle. If this is something that you're interested in, please follow along, and yeah, let's get started. For this project, we're going to be using this little tabletop lathe. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take a section of branch. You guys guessed it, it's going to be elm. Again, that stuff grows like weeds in our yard, so that's what we have to use. Around, I'm going to say 4 inches, and then we will put this chuck on the head of the lathe and we will get started. I'm hoping with both doors open the lighting in here is decent. This will be an experiment. See, because we can do a lot more projects in this shop, it's just the lighting in here is poor. Before I chuck this piece up on the lathe, I'm going to remove all the bark and see what side would be better chucked up. Alright, that'll work. Install this head, open up the jaw, you will tighten that down, spin it, try to get it as true as possible. That looks pretty good right there. Tighten that down really good. On this end is we're gonna create a circle and cut in from the bottom about 1/2 inch, and then we will take this off, turn it around, and now that we have a true round circle on this side and flatten out the bottom, we'll then chuck it in and then start hollowing out the inside of this branch. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Let's try that again. Okay, we got the bottom pretty round. Now we're going to go from our roughing gouge to our square one, square up the bottom, flatten off the base, then we will flip it around. Now let's flip this around. Right there. Tighten her down good. We're just about there. This is about the shape we have now. Now we're going to go to the end and start working on hollowing it out. The inside is starting to get hollowed out nice. We're going to go maybe ½ an inch deeper. Then we're going to go back to contouring the outside. We will separate this portion off the lathe. What's left chucked on the lathe, we will turn that into a lid for this. Okay, now we're going to sand the inside and the outside, and we will remove that from the part chucked in the lathe and start turning the part in the lathe for the lid. We're done turning on the lathe. We have the little container, the lid, it's a bird call. Anyways, we're gonna get some 100 grit sandpaper, sand off the bottom where we cut it from the lid, and after we finish hand sanding, we'll start working on a little scoop and a little lid piece. All right. We have a little piece of copper wire. I just have that same sandpaper we're using to sand that little wooden salt jar, and I'm cleaning off the outside so we're down to some bare copper wire. For the top of that wire, just starting to curl it in on itself, making a little swirl. I'd say about right there. Now we're going to bend it back the other way, finish off the swirl like that, and then we will cut this with about a 1/4 inch tag end. Now this little swirl we just formed out of copper wire, we're going to drill a hole in the center and glue that into that hole. Now we need to make a little loop for our spoon. Bend it like that, and then we will cut that off. Now that we have center on the jar, we're going to take the drill bit, take some gel super glue, and we're going to glue our little handle piece to the top of the container. Now we have some holes drilled in the side for our little spoon holding piece. Now we're going to stick some super glue in those holes, and then we'll press this piece into. Take this, Press that into the hole. Now we have the lid and the little side spoon holder. Now that we have the little handle for the lid glued in and the spoon holder, we're gonna cut a length of copper pipe around 4.5 inches, and we will, after we cut the length of pipe, we will cut a slit all the way down, open it up, flatten it out on a piece of metal, then we will trace our spoon design onto this flattened out copper pipe and start forming that. Now that we have that piece cut, we're gonna put it back in the vise, and I'm gonna cut a straight line lengthwise on that piece of pipe. It's a pain trying to open this up with pliers. It's pretty work hardened. So I'm gonna use this torch, heat it up, and then dunk it in water. That should be good. Take this, put that up. Let's see how much softer it is now. Oh yeah, huge difference. That's almost effortless. That's far enough open. Now we're going to take a hammer, put it on a flat metal surface, and hammer it flat. I had just grabbed this little washer, laid it on the pipe. I'm going to use my scratch awl to mark this. Hopefully you guys can see that. Now I'm going to take a straight edge and mark out the handle. I'm going to find center on this little piece we have. So that's going to be right here. I'll mark that. I'll come out from that up by the spoon. I don't recommend, if you're making a spoon out of copper and it's going to be a flat spoon, I don't recommend you go any thinner than about 1/2 inch. I'd say 1/2 inch is the thinnest. Any thinner than that, it's just way too flimsy. Come down here. Mark that with our scratch awl. This line to that line. Okay. Now we'll cut that out. Now that we have that copper spoon cut out, we have a file. We're going to do some cleanup. We're going to start dishing out the spoon portion. We're supposed to be using the back side of a ball peen hammer to do this. I finished forming the spoon, sanded it, cleaned up all the edges. It fits nice on the side of the container. Now this can either work or it can turn out disastrous, but I don't want to stain this with a food safe oil, and it's too light. I want it to be darker, so I'm going to take this torch with the copper already in, and I'm just going to try to slightly darken the wood on the outside, so we'll see how this turns out. That is actually working really well. I am very surprised. I did not think it was gonna be that easy. All right, let's do the top. That actually worked out without destroying it. So now I'm going to move on to staining. I'm just going to be using some olive oil on the outside. Just on the outside. Make sure it soaks in really well. Some on the bottom. It's extremely porous on the bottom where we cut it off of the lid on the lathe. I really like how that turned out, burning it slightly. I'm going to start doing that from now on. This bottom portion, the jar, is finished being coated. Now I'm going to move to the lid and coat this. Thank you guys for following along again. Here's the finished product. Really appreciate if you guys liked the video and subscribed. Awesome. I'll catch you guys on the next one.